grammar part is absolutely incredible. I mean, this is testing your grammar in action. And if there are those who struggle, for example, in their IELTS writing, trying to making things difficult, like especially with the grammar, they try to complicate the grammatical structures, thinking that they're actually making it better, but well, they're actually making it worse by overcomplicating it or adding excessive, unnecessary language and all that. So it really helps you to see grammar in action in very practical and effective ways. I love SAT grammar. It also tells you or shows you how to work with sentence structures or different grammatical structures, idiomatic language, expressions, tenses. Sometimes the whole thing is underlined like that, where you have to figure out, what's wrong. Like you read the original sentence. This is how you work with it. So you read the original sentence with the underlined part, like whatever, and you try to understand if there's anything wrong with this underlined like part, right? You don't just read the options right away. Especially this is great for those who struggle with multiple choice questions, like the nature of the question, whether it is in IELTS reading or listening, or even here. I love multiple choices. They're so great because they offer you different choices that you can play with. You can eliminate. There's only one correct answer. That means there are all the other options. There's something wrong with them. If you can find what's wrong with the other options and choose one that fits based on obviously correct grammar, and not just correct grammar. When you are dealing with SAT, you also learn how to say things better, So we're not just looking for any random grammatically correct structure. We're looking for which option makes the message clear, really helps communicate the idea in the simplest but most accurate in that smoothest way possible. So it's really good, again, right? I know some people, when it comes to their writing, they try to complicate. They write they have a simple idea, but they try to wrap it up in a very complicated grammar structure, thinking that the longer it is, the more complicated it is, the better it is. But through this SAT exercise, you will actually learn that is so far from the truth. Okay, do you see? Like, amazing. This is really, there are several ways to test your grammar skills in action, actually. I'm going to show you a couple of examples. Like, for example, here, you see, you read a sample essay. Well, not necessarily the IELTS style essay, nonetheless. So you read original essay and you're asked, like, parts, and let's say, I don't know, like this part, for example, what is wrong with this part, what we can do to make it better. So you learn that in order to answer this question correctly, you can't just read the sentence, you have to read it before and after. So you will learn how to make things better in context, and that's another thing that many people struggle with. They're trying to improve or use some more complicated structures within this tiny little parts, one sentence at a time or one word at a time, but language actually doesn't work that way. We need the context as much as possible to improve. Like, if I want to improve this one, I have to think about what I said before and what I want to say next, right? And doing that helps me to know what to say here and how to say that in the best way possible. So it's really, really helpful way to work with grammar and structure and idiomatic expressions and everything. So let's look at, for example, we'll look at a couple of options, okay? So let's look at question number 1. What you need to do when you're working with multiple choice like this, or in SAT in general. So you are reading the original sentence, and then you're thinking about what, imagine this is someone else's essay, like one little sentence we underlined, maybe there's an issue right here, and you have to figure out what that is, okay? Imagine you are the teacher or the professor. You need to find what's wrong so you can explain it to the student, because sometimes, here's another fun part of this is option A offers exactly the same. That means there's nothing wrong with the original sentence. So it's possible sometimes, okay? This is how it can really challenge your grammar knowledge. If there's nothing wrong with it, you choose option A. But if you know there's something wrong with it, then you have 4 other options to work with. Now, it's not the same with all the questions. Like, these questions are a little different, like these, as you can see. So when there's a new type of questions that explains what you need to do and how and why, But all of these have this one, okay? So option A is going to repeat or show exactly the same version as the original if there's nothing wrong with it. So that's why you read this statement first carefully, understand, before you look at the choices. It's critical that you do not read the choices right away, okay? Because then it's going to spoil your understanding. You might be rather confused by reading all of the options, and you will be just looking for the most complicated version and then end up choosing that. But that's not how proper language works, okay? So what you want to do is read the original sentence. So let's do this. The harmful effects of something, like excessive alcohol intake, on the system is excessively documented by medical studies. Now, if you just read it like that, it might be hard to understand what's wrong with your sentence. It might sound just fine. But here is how or why grammar structures really matter. So you want to, as you read the sentence, look for the main subject. What are we talking about in the sentence? Are we talking about alcohol? Are we talking about the system? Are we talking about intake? Or what? We are talking about the harmful effects. So this is our subject, right? If it is the subject of the sentence, in its plural, as you can see, we need what? Plural verb. Now, see if you can find the verb for this subject. It's not excessive, it's not alcohol, it's not intake. It's all these, because all of these are noun phrases. These are nouns. So the verb is. Now ask yourself, is correct. Effects is. Okay, now you see the problem, right? So this the verb doesn't match. So this question is checking or testing you on the subject-verb agreement, because this is a very common mistake in IELTS writing where people mess up the subject-verb, especially right after the subject like that. You have extra nouns and then you write the main verb. You have forgotten, which subject you're talking about, and you forget that, and then you write the singular verb like that, just because it's right after some random noun that is singular. But that is how subject-verb disagreements happen, actually. So our verb should match the plural subject, okay? So we say, okay, the harmful effects, not is, extensively documented by medical studies. All right, the meaning of the sentence overall is clear, I think. We're looking for an option that fits that fixes that problem, okay? So A and B are doing exactly the same, so these are out, right? Because of the is, okay? Now option E has singular verb again. We don't need that, right? We need something that is plural. So there you go. This is also out. And we're left with C or D. Now let's look at C. Harmful effects of blah, blah, blah are extensively documented by studies. So the rest of the sentence also fits because the effects are documented or studied by these studies. So passive voice matches, everything looks great. Let's go with this option. If you wanted to be sure, you could, to eliminate option D. Let's read this too. Medical studies. Effects of medical studies, what are extensively documenting? Like who's documenting it? What is this? Very confusing grammatical structure, if you notice. So no, that is also out, right? So when you're working with multiple choices in any format or in any part of the test, like this grammar, for example, or reading and listening multiple choices, what you want to do is, before you jump to conclusions and try to choose the answer, you want to eliminate the wrong options after you have fully understood the context that you're dealing with, okay? Then it'll be very easy to eliminate the wrong options, or at least a lot easier, okay? Find something wrong with the other options, eliminate them, don't rush to choose the answer, okay? And this is how you end up with the correct answer. Okay, let's look at one more example, like for example here. Let's see what is happening in the original sentence. So blah blah's conservative party, so we're talking about the party, that's the subject of the sentence, okay? So what's happening? Where's the verb? Favors, that's the verb, and it's matching, right? Singular subject, singular verb. Okay, favors what? Lowering taxes, more decentralized government, and the spending of less money on imports. Okay, so what's happening is, if we simplify the language, we see that this party supports, or prefers these things. And now you notice the grammatical structure. If you're familiar with it, this is called parallelism, where after we say the verb and then we have list of nouns they all should be in similar format, okay? But are they similar now? Lowering taxes, okay, verb ing and a noun. A more decentralized government, just an adjective noun. And then the spending, verb ing off, sounds a bit weird, doesn't it? Yeah, it's like sounds like a bit off. So now we know what the problem is. These structures are not parallel, or they're not similar, and they don't fit. They should all be in the similar format, okay, when we're listing things. Again, this is another common IELTS problem. When people are writing or listing, even when they're speaking, they end up listing things, but the things they were listing, they just don't match. You know, one can be just a verb ing, another one is a noun verb, and another one is a gerund. So this is how you learn why this is a problem and how do we make it better. Yeah. Okay, so we're looking for favors something. Let's look for options. Now, right away, you can look at the first options, like favors. Okay, so we need the verb favors is correct because party is a singular thing. So any option that has plural can go right away. Notice again, I'm not trying to rush to choose the answer. I'm trying to eliminate the distractions. Favoring, what's that? It's a new grammar structure. Or this one, again, favor. Singular option. Plural option like that, so this is all out. I don't even have to read the whole thing, but if you wanted, you could read and see for yourself, like favor lowering taxes, more decentralized, like no. Or favor lower taxes, more decentralizing government and spending less money, again, more options that are just crazier than the original. So these two are out. This one is also introducing a different grammatical structure. This verb, even if you did not know the meaning of it, grammatically you should be able to recognize that after this nouns and adjective, this isn't the verb, subject, this should be the verb and it should be in the correct tense, right? Verb ing is just not right, if you know that. So out. If you did not know, then you should study grammar actually better. So, because again, you know, we don't just say after the subject a verb with ing like that. Yeah. So based on this elimination, we get it. And the original sentence that didn't sound right. So this is also out right away. So this is how you eliminate the wrong options and, you know, choose the one that is left. But we're not just going to choose that just because that's the last option. We are going to read it and see why this option is better. In what way this really improves. Okay, so the party favors lower taxes, more decentralized government, and lesser expenditure. Oh, it improves the vocabulary actually as well. That's nice. Expenditure means, you know, money, right? Lesser. So now every structure here, adjective noun, and adjective noun, everything really fits. So a great choice. This is how we are really improving the writing. Okay, we're not just trying, each time you write, you're not trying to complicate and create more confusing versions. You're going for smooth, clear option or choice. And this is how you learn, you know, the answer is C. How cool it is. So I hope you understand how to work with these choices like that, but we could look at another one. So these are all really similar. So let's look at another option, like, or here. Okay, let's look at this option. How to work with these. So again, you read it as if it is just part of a sentence that is underlined. Sometimes I do that actually with my own students. When I read their essay, I just underline. They have to figure out for themselves what is wrong with that underlined part, you know? So it kind of challenges your thinking skills. So after much debate, again, read and see at the same time, if you can, if there's anything wrong with it, like after much debate. Nope, because debate is not countable, so we're saying after much. After a lot of debate. Okay, sounds good. Let's keep going. So there's nothing wrong with it for now. Julia and Patricia agreed that they would go to the movies together on Friday. Sounds so far okay, right? Agreed is in the past. There's no, the verb is used correctly in the right form in the past. Okay, that they would. It's all suggesting that it is past tense, yeah? Together on Friday. Okay, but at the last minute, okay, she changed her mind. Now, so far, this all looking okay. There's, you know, nothing wrong with it and nothing wrong with that. Did you discover the problem? What is she, right? Who? She. that we were talking about. Because we said in the previous part that there's Julia and there is Patricia, and there are two ladies. Now, which lady are we talking about when we say she later? So this is another common problem with pronouns, which actually affects your cohesion and coherence score, okay? That goes into the CC. That is using correct pronouns. And it happens so often that people are writing a singular thing like technology in the first sentence, and the next sentence they talk about they. Who's they? You talked about technology. Or vice versa. They talk about technologies and later they say it. Again, very common mistake, but mistake. And this is how you learn to be more attentive, Because here, changed, there's nothing wrong with changed. Like one of them or both of them changed their mind, her mind. So it is all fitting again, right? The tenses are all the past. So it makes sense. There's no problem with it. Since we found one error, that means E, no error option, is also not valid. Yeah, because there is a problem with this option. So the answer is C. Yeah. Okay. And this is how you learn and work with these options. Okay? Does that help? After doing this, for the grammar's sake, you could maybe learn some vocab, some good structures, right? After something, some people would decide, but this is actually compound complex grammar structure. This is really nice. Not that difficult, I hope, to read and understand and work with. Okay, so these are all, again, similar. I hope you understand by now how to work with these choices, right? Give it a try. These are very, very helpful. The next best part about SAT grammar. Now, these books, usually, or such exercise, come with explanations and level of difficulty. Example, I don't remember. Question number 1, you see? Okay, it not only tells you the answer, it also shows you the level of difficulty, which is really cool. So if the test you found was, the test you did was extremely difficult, maybe it was level 5, you see? The level of difficulty, 5 is the highest. 1 means that's the easiest. Okay, so sometimes when the question is really that difficult, making a mistake is, I guess, it's okay, but you don't want to make mistakes with the easier options, okay? So either way, it's kind of good for yourself to find out. So answers and the level of difficulty, plus they come with explanation, like why the answer is like this and why the answer is that. So if you thought there was something wrong with it, but the answer says like, well, the sentence is correct as it is written, now you learn that, well, maybe the sentence seemed too simple for you and you thought, there must be something wrong with it. But then you will learn that was actually the best sentence. And the option you chose might have been the crazy option that offered lots of complexities but did not help improve the quality of the sentence. It didn't communicate in the proper way. So, to finalize, right? So these SAT grammar exercise are, yes, they are testing your grammar, idiomatic language, the correct prepositions, even spelling sometimes, etc. They're also like checking if you can choose the option that really smoothens the message, right? Like what is the best version of this underlined part? We're not just looking for something that is so complicated. We're looking for option that really helps make the message easy to understand and correct, if that makes sense. Okay, so this is how you learn how to use grammar in better and more practical ways.